The forest was quiet that morning, except for the steady hum echoing off the valley walls. The sound grew louder, rhythmic, unmistakable. Rotor blades slicing through the crisp mountain air. My neighbors might have thought it was a sightseeing tour, or maybe a rescue chopper heading toward the ridge. But Karen, the woman who had declared herself the self-appointed guardian of the neighborhood, wasn't thinking that at all. From her deck, binoculars pressed tightly to her face, she spotted the matte black helicopter descending toward my cabin clearing. It wasn't a giant bird with military insignias, nor was it marked for commercial use. Sleek, fast, and strangely silent as it approached. The craft settled into the meadow like it had always belonged there. I stepped out, calm as ever, my boots crunching the frosted grass. The pilot gave me a quick salute before powering down the engine. Karen, on the other hand, was already dialing her phone, her face a mix of outrage and disbelief. "Hello, Sheriff." "Yes, I need to report something immediately." "My neighbor." "Yes, the one with that ridiculous garden. He just landed a helicopter on his property." "A helicopter? This is illegal. It must be military. Maybe stolen." She was pacing on her porch, practically shouting loud enough for me to hear. I ignored her, giving a nod to the pilot as he unloaded a small metal case. Inside were navigation maps, updated comms gear, and a sealed letter I wasn't supposed to open until later. Karen stormed down her driveway, slippers dragging through the gravel, phone still in hand. "You can't just fly in government equipment. What are you hiding out here? Drugs? Weapons?" I didn't answer. Instead, I carefully slid the case inside my cabin, returning with a calm smile. "Relax, Karen. It's just a visit," she scoffed. "A visit? From whom?" That looked like something out of the Air Force. The sheriff's SUV arrived minutes later, dust rolling behind him. He stepped out slowly, scanning the helicopter, his brows rising in recognition. Karen pounced like a hawk. "Sheriff, arrest him right now. He's hiding something." "This is federal!" But the sheriff didn't cuff me. He didn't even raise his voice. Instead, he stood straighter, adjusted his belt, and muttered, almost respectfully, "Commander, I wasn't told you'd be in the area." Karen froze mid-sentence. "Tay, Commander?" Her voice cracked, disbelief dripping into every syllable. The sheriff gave her a look that silenced her instantly. "Karen, I suggest you head home. You don't know what you're dealing with here." Karen was not the type to back down easily. Even after the sheriff's surprising salute, she refused to accept what she'd just witnessed. Her mind spun with wild theories, secret government experiments, undercover spy missions, or maybe some illegal alliance I had formed with the military. The moment she stormed back into her house, she slammed the door and pulled out her laptop. "If the sheriff won't do anything, I'll go higher," she muttered, typing furiously. Within minutes, she was on the official FAA complaint page, filling it out with exaggerated details. Suspicious helicopter, civilian neighborhood, possible criminal connections. Neighbor involved, urgent. But that wasn't enough for her. She grabbed her phone again, scrolling through contacts, until she found her cousin, who happened to work at the mayor's office. "Listen, Julie, this is serious. My neighbor landed a helicopter in his yard." "A whole helicopter. Doesn't that sound dangerous? What if he's running some covert operation? The sheriff won't help." "You need to escalate this." Julie tried calming her down, but Karen wasn't having it. By the time she hung up, she had already dialed another number, this one to the local news station. Meanwhile, back at the cabin, I sat across from the pilot, sipping coffee as we reviewed the maps he'd brought. "Command wants you to remain low profile," he said. "But given your location, expect unwanted attention." "People talk," I gave a wry smile. "People like Karen, you mean?" He didn't answer, but the look on his face said enough. By late afternoon, Karen's campaign had reached a boiling point. 2 news vans parked at the edge of the road. Reporters setting up cameras with long lenses pointed straight at my cabin. Karen stood proudly beside them, giving interviews as though she were the hero of the day. "This community deserves answers," she declared dramatically. "I've lived here for 10 years, and never once have I seen military-grade machinery land in a backyard. What are they hiding from us?" Her words were cut short by the sudden roar of jet engines. Every camera swung upward as two fighter jets streaked across the sky, leaving white trails above the tree line. They weren't attacking, they were escorting. Within moments, another helicopter descended, larger than the first, its sides marked with bold Air Force insignias. Reporters gasped. Karen clutched her chest. And when the door slid open, 3 uniformed officers stepped out, standing in sharp formation. The lead officer scanned the crowd, then spotted me. He raised his hand in a precise salute. "Commander, headquarters sends its regards." The cameras kept rolling. Karen's mouth fell open. She had wanted attention. She just hadn't expected this kind. The sound of camera shutters firing was almost louder than the helicopter's blades. Reporters surged forward, microphones stretched in my direction, while Karen tried to shove her way into every frame. "See? I told you," she shouted at the cameras. "Military involvement, right in our neighborhood." And nobody believed me. But the officers ignored her completely. Their boots clicked against the gravel as they formed a protective half-circle around me. The lead officer kept his tone calm but firm. "Commander, we'll need to debrief you before sundown. Sensitive material cannot remain exposed." Karen's jaw dropped. "Debrief? Sensitive material? What does that even mean?" She pointed at me with an accusing finger. "He's just some guy with a garden and a cabin. How is he a commander?" The cameras turned toward her, catching every ounce of her frustration. One of the younger reporters whispered to his cameraman, "She looks like she's about to explode." And explode she did. Karen pushed past the news crew, trying to confront the officers directly. "You can't just show up in our neighborhood and salute this man like he's some war hero. I pay taxes. I demand to know the truth." The lead officer gave her a single icy glance. "Ma'am, this area is now under restricted surveillance. You are advised to return to your home immediately." That only fueled her fire. "Restricted? On my street? You can't tell me what to do." She turned back toward the cameras, throwing her arms wide. "Everyone, listen to me. This is a government cover-up. He's probably building weapons under that cabin." Her words rippled through the crowd. But instead of fear, the reporters smelled opportunity. They began asking me direct questions. "Commander, is this true? Are you working on classified technology? Why are Air Force jets flying overhead?" I stayed composed, offering nothing but a polite smile. The less said, the better. Meanwhile, Karen's meltdown intensified. She dragged out a folding chair, plopping herself in the middle of the road. "I'm not moving until I get answers," she declared. "This is my protest." The officers didn't move her. They didn't have to. Within minutes, a convoy of black SUVs rolled up the mountain road. Men in dark suits stepped out, sunglasses reflecting the flashing cameras. One of them approached, flashing credentials the reporters couldn't quite catch. He leaned close to me, speaking in a low tone. "Commander, national attention has been triggered. Washington is monitoring this broadcast live." The words hit the crowd like a lightning strike. Karen's protest chair wobbled beneath her as the realization spread. She hadn't exposed me. She had exposed herself to the entire nation. The mountain road looked more like a military parade than a quiet neighborhood. Black SUVs, uniformed officers, and reporters filled the scene, all centered on one small cabin, and one very frustrated Karen. She sat stubbornly in her folding chair, shouting to anyone who would listen. "You see this? This is proof. He's involved in something massive. The government's hiding it, but I exposed it. I'll be the whistleblower they can't silence." Her voice carried, but the attention wasn't on her anymore. Every camera was trained on the man in the suit, who had stepped forward with a sealed briefcase. He placed it carefully on my cabin porch, then clicked it open with a code only I recognized. Inside, a single folder rested on top of a velvet lining. The lead officer announced, "Loud enough for everyone to hear. By order of the United States Air Force and with direct approval from Washington, we acknowledge Commander's ongoing service. Effective immediately, this site is under federal protection." The words hung in the air. Reporters gasped, cameras zoomed in, and the live feed crackled as anchors across the country scrambled to interpret what had just been revealed. Karen jumped to her feet, pointing both hands toward me. "Commander? That's ridiculous. He's not military. He's just some guy with chickens and a vegetable garden. You're all being tricked." The officer turned to her, his patience worn thin. "Ma'am, do you understand the meaning of classified? You are standing in restricted territory. This will be your final warning." But Karen only grew louder. "Classified, classified. Stop hiding behind your fancy words. The whole world deserves to know what he's doing here." As if on cue, the ground shook. Overhead, a massive transport aircraft appeared, its wings casting a shadow across the entire valley. Reporters fell silent, their cameras craning upward to capture the colossal machine as it circled once, then dipped low in a precise maneuver of respect. The pilot's voice boomed through external speakers. "Commander, on behalf of Washington, we salute you." And in one synchronized motion, the Air Force officers present snapped to attention, saluting me. The cameras caught it all, the sharpness of their stance, the gravity of the moment. Karen's face went pale. Her tirade faltered as she realized the truth wasn't bending her way. The sheriff, standing quietly at the edge of the crowd, leaned toward her with a smirk. "Guess you picked the wrong neighbor to mess with." The live broadcast ended with one final image. Me returning the salute, calm and collected, while Karen collapsed back into her chair, defeated. The nation had its headline, the neighborhood had its answer, and Karen had nothing left to say. Enjoying this wild Karen encounter? Hit that subscribe button for more unbelievable cabin stories and real-life showdowns. If this twist shocked you, give it a like and drop a comment below. What would you have done if Karen reported your helicopter?